Hello.
Hey,
What's up, guys?
welcome to Tales from the Crucible, episode 3, featuring this lovely man next to me, Don the Raven, and our special guest, Nikki Nicole Customs.
Hey, everybody.
Thanks for joining
Don,
us
take
tonight.
it away.
Um, yep. So episode 3, wow, 3 in the bag already, and we are so excited to have Nikki Nicole Customs on with us today. Thank you for joining us. Really appreciate the opportunity to just kind of sit down and have a chat with you. So, like I said before, the show's all about you. So why don't you kind of start and tell us about your history? How'd you get started?
Sure. Yeah. I would say, gosh, it's been 11 years now. 11 or 12 years. I started collecting again in my adult life. Kind of saw some TMNT stuff and just had it like a really big nostalgia hit.
Yeah.
And then I started collecting TMNT, and then somehow along the way, like getting into the different forums and stuff, stumbled upon some Four Horsemen stuff, some of the old Ravens, the Is Ramirez figures to be specific. So I spent way too much money on eBay to get this, rare Is Ramirez figure. But as soon as I opened it, I was like, whoa, this thing is like next level. Just the paint and
Yeah.
the sculpt and everything was just so cool. And so right around that same time, I discovered they were having a Kickstarter for Mythic Legions. And then thus the rabbit hole began, because I was a big D&D person growing up, and my favorite part of D&D was always making characters. And so immediately I could see like all the parts were swappable. I started sketching out ideas like from the get-go, and it was a big wait. But once those figures came, I was super impressed, started customizing from there right away, and went really hard into it. Continued to collect. And as we headed on down the path of years of customizing, I started to get a couple of professional jobs with different action figure companies doing the painting. So that's where we are today.
So with your customizing, was it merely is it merely pop and swap and painting, or do you like do the 3D printing as well?
I don't do the 3D printing. I have worked with certain artists to like come up with ideas, or simply just purchase what they were already putting out.
Okay.
And then early on, before the 3D printing really took off, I was doing, just modifications myself, workshop type stuff, putting fodder on figures and like carving stuff out. Or I'm not much of a sculptor, so I did like just really basic stuff, but enough to really make a new character and mod it enough to my liking, at least.
That's really cool. That is really cool. I'm about talented enough to use those little wire ties. I can make stick figures. That's my sculpting ability. So this man over here can sculpt some stuff.
Okay.
Awesome.
This guy, that guy.
And take great pictures.
Yes, an amazing photographer.
Go
ahead, Dave.
All right. Nikki, so like, did you always do like any sort of painting, or, did you do like oils or watercolor, stuff like that? And that just like drew you into doing the figures, or were you just like, I'm going to make something cool and make it my own?
Yeah, good question. I do have a little bit of an art background just in schooling. I had a really big dilemma, like right at the end of high school, if I wanted to go to art school or if I wanted to pursue a career in science. And ultimately I chose science because I didn't want to have the constant pressure to be like a professional artist and like have to perform and be creative, for money. And so I followed this whole science path for many years, did not do any art, and then just came back to it with the customizing.
It's like second nature to you. I mean, from just looking at your work, honestly, it seems like it's like second nature to you, because you have some amazing paints, and just the way you piece figures together, it just comes together so cohesively.
Thank you.
So with does your science background kind of help you, like, give you inspiration on how you sculpt and paint or design things?
Definitely. I got into, while I was still in college towards the end there, they had a great science illustration program. I was like, ooh, maybe this is something I'd like to pursue. So I did take several classes in that program, and lots of, like, reptiles and amphibians are my background. And so a lot of my customs have been in relation to either using, real life animals as reference. I put less attention into like the armor than the actual body of the creature that I'm doing. So yeah, a lot of real world inspiration there from reptiles, amphibians, but also cats and other animals.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I was going to say, kind of like going off of what Don asked and said, and same with you, is um, I always think it's pretty cool on your work. Your work looks like yours. Like you always have like really unique color palettes on everything, and really really cool color choices and stuff that like I wouldn't have thought of. And then like I see you do it and go, wow, that works. I wouldn't have thought of that working. And you're able to pull it off. Just really cool. Outside of the realism of the amphibians and reptiles, is there anywhere else that you pull inspiration or ideas from?
Yeah, I would say for sure, like old school D&D material. I have a lot of the art books, the art of Dungeons and Dragons, the art of Dragonlance. So featured really heavily a lot of Clyde Caldwell, Jeff Easley, Larry Elmore. So very heavy. Yeah. My collection is really influenced strongly by those artists, like how I collect, how I lay out my shelves, just a lot of their scenery and how they would portray like a region of the world. Very much influenced by that. So some ideas come from like old school monster manuals, monstrous compendiums, and just things that I, at that time when I was like, 8 or 10, imagining like what would be in a dungeon crawl or something like that.
Right.
Oh yeah. So basically you have whole parties set up on your shelves from your D&D days.
Yeah, good question. I'm actually starting to do more adventuring parties, but so far it's more like what they would encounter in that region of the world.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That is a crazy idea. I have never even thought about doing that. Even though like most of the creatures in like figures I collect are from like, I was having the D&D as a kid. So that's why I'm so big into the fantasy and the mythic realm. Yeah, I never even thought about building my own party and throwing it on the shelf. Now, I have thought about using the figures against my kids during games.
Nice.
But they stood up against that, so that's okay. They have the minis, I have the big figures, and they said, that's not fair, Dad.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, well, I can see your point, I guess.
I keep wanting to use the larger figures and like imagining, people coming over and doing like a D&D session with them, but it just hasn't materialized. So
yeah, you would need a huge. Let's just move a big table into the living room, because that's about the size we're going to need for any.
You say that like it's a bad thing.
No, it's not. It's
not. I picture like having a big room with a bunch of like the 6 foot, 8 foot tables, and you setting up those as the playboard with everything on it. This way you could work on both sides of it and move everything and play the game as you go.
You wouldn't even need chairs because you would not be able to stand. It'd be like a big Warhammer game.
And my thinking is like you could do that like continuous. Like you have one party move through, and then you could start another party down there, and you have another group of people come through. And
that would be kind of epic. Yes. So you have a background in science, background in art, but what was your favorite thing to collect when you were younger? Like before you reached the second childhood, the adult stage where, basically I'm at, want to relive my childhood. What was your favorite thing to collect at that age?
Definitely G.I. Joe, which kind of edged into Battle Beasts and a little bit of TMNT as well. But
The
primarily
classic
G.I.
figures.
Joe. Yeah.
Okay. So you were the 1/18 scale GI Joes, OG ones.
Yeah, originally.
Nice.
Yeah, the O-ring. And I'd have to look at the year layouts on one of the handy website guides, but I stopped. I forget what year I stopped when it started getting really crazy, but really bright fluorescent colors is when I stopped.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So when they decided to get very vibrant with their outfits.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, when they stopped looking military cool and just started looking like comic book instead.
Yeah.
I liked some of the wacky ones, like the original Toxo Viper was probably original Toxo Viper, original Alley Viper, probably like the brightest ones that I had, but that was like right before it went a little too wacky.
So the Dreadnoks, you didn't collect those.
I wasn't super into the Dreadnoks as a kid, but I can't remember if it was because me and my brother didn't like them or it was just because we couldn't find them. And so we're like, oh, we don't like those.
Can't find them. Don't want them. Fine.
Yeah, we don't want them. But yeah, we just couldn't find them.
So going from, do you still have some of those Joes?
I do not. I actually, my stepbrother sent me, he had like a bunch of boxes of our old toys in his garage and he sent me a bunch of it. And I went through everything and I sold it all on eBay. This was like during COVID. So 4 or 5 years ago, made some good money on it. Yeah. I didn't have a desire to keep it though.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with the new releases, what do you prefer? The O-rings or the new classifieds?
I definitely don't want to collect O-ring because it's too much like a kid's toy to me. I would be into potentially. I was actually right when I started collecting. Toys R Us was still open. I was seeing some of the modern 3 3/4 inch Joes, and I was tempted at that time. I don't know like what the series was called or anything like that, but I was like, these are actually really well done. I like their versions of the characters that I'm familiar with. So I could have gone down that path, and I'm glad I didn't because I would have spent a lot of money on it. But so yeah, I'm into classified right now. No, it's not perfect, but I am enjoying it, and I'm super cherry picking like just the stuff that I had and have nostalgia for, or the stuff that I really really wanted that I couldn't get. So I do have a full shelf of Dreadnoks.
You finally got them.
Finally got them. So yes. But yeah, I am seeing the limitations of the line because I did get the Hiss tank and I'm like, all right, this is way too big. Like I can't do anything with it. So I'm not getting like even the smaller vehicles and stuff. I'm just not going there. So I'm just focusing on characters and enjoying
What else are you collecting lately?
Let's see. Mythic Legion, Savage Crucible. I have a Predator collection, but NECA hasn't really done much in the last 5 years, which is really disappointing. So hopefully they'll do stuff with the new movie. Hopefully the new movie is cool.
Yes.
Hopefully they do some things from the new movie, because from the preview that I saw, there's some interesting stuff happening that could be really toyetic. So I do have a Predator collection. It's not on display right now. I do have some Action Force, but I think I'm just mainly sprinkling that through the Joe collection and just kind of cherry picking some characters that make sense. And then I do have a TMNT collection right now that is also not on display. But I am waiting for NECA to put out their 2012 Turtles because I'm really into that series. Again, I'm not going to be a completist. My TMNT collection focuses just on the art style, mostly just on the art style of the Turtles over different iterations. And so it's nice because I don't need to buy all those wacky characters, especially from the original cartoon. So it's actually pretty minimal, but I still really enjoy it.
Yeah, I made the mistake of falling into the Joy Toy TMNT sets.
Yeah, they look good.
They're fun.
And
They're
those
so
are
much fun.
3
They're
3/4.
118. Yeah.
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 Okay.
Well, the Krang that's coming out, he's supposed to be 7 inches.
Oh wow.
So I mean, it's Krang. So
Yeah.
you got the full body, and then you got the little, and he even comes with his mechanical walker
Nice.
that you can pull him out of the belly. So
Yeah.
hopefully I'll get those ones soon. But yeah, so far, yeah, I made the mistake of falling. I was like, I got to get all these. I started it. I might as well keep going. So
They look really good, and those other import ones look really good. They're like spring and fall, and
yeah, the Fury, Rage, whatever the name of the company is this time of year. Yeah, I've only picked one of those up, the Michelangelo one, because that one looked like the most fun.
Yeah.
And I started playing with him. I'm like, man, I should have got those other ones.
I know that's how I feel. They're a little on the small side. If they were a little bit bigger, I would have been all over it.
But they've got another company coming out with the 112 scale ones that look really good. And I can't even pronounce the name of the company, but those ones are really good looking. Come with a lot of stuff, but they are also really expensive.
Yeah.
I'm like, not going to be collecting all those ones. So
yeah.
I'm good with that.
I'll wait for the NECAs right now.
Yeah. So, the 2012 Turtles from NECA. What else? Like, what would you like to see somebody release?
I really want. Well, keeping on the TMNT thing, I really want NECA to do IDW Turtles.
Yep.
I know Loyal Subjects has it, but I'd rather wait for NECA to do it. And I would really like a line of samurai that are compatible with Mythic Legion, Savage Crucible. They're probably in the works, I'm sure. But I have a whole row of customs I'm working on right now. I have 4 different samurai, a green, a red, a blue, and a purple that I'm working on to satisfy that. But it would be nice to have a line where similar to what the Floosh put out. So I almost dove into that. I'm glad I didn't, because they're a little smaller than my preferred, almost 7-inch scale. But it'd be nice just to have the part compatibility where you could change out the different crests on the samurai helm and all of that.
To give yourself a customizable samurai, because they all had different armor types, depending on what clan they came from.
Yep.
So it would be nice to have something come along those lines, especially with Mythics putting out all these different gods, like Sun Wukong and stuff like that. I know that's Chinese and not really, Japanese culture, but the armor types still would go really well together.
Right. And just have it be a little bit more, bring some historical accuracy to it. I want to see all of the different crest types they had and different masks and stuff like that. I think that'd be really cool.
The flags or banners that they carried with them.
Yeah,
that would be amazing to see.
And the correct sword layouts and things like that. That would be really cool.
Not just random, here's your sword. It's the same sword everybody has. So
giant broadsword for a samurai.
Yeah, exactly.
When did Conan become a samurai? What is this?
Well, I do have a question for Nikki, but first, Don, it's time for a word from our sponsors.
Yes. And this episode, we're going to be diving into cinema.
Oh.
Coming soon to a theater near you.
This summer, watch our hero Como the Isle story told through 4 blockbuster films. Coming to theaters soon. Don't miss it.
I'm ready.
So a little fantasy of having Como with his own set of movies. Just saying, don't out there, Hollywood.
We're just announcing it all at one time. We're just putting out 5 movies with Como.
Let's go.
I love it.
So, Nikki, when you painting, I'm guessing, as far as like types of paint, I'm guessing like you're using like the like Vallejos and Game Workshop kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's what I started with, and I still have a ton of those paints in my paint collection, Citadel and Vallejo. And then I just started expanding into other European brands. So started getting into some Green Stuff World and like paints available through them, and just trying out some different stuff, different types of washes, different types of metallics and things like that.
When you're painting, do you like experiment with like your color palette that you're going to use like on something else, and then just go for it once you figure it out, or do you just like start painting the figure and then figure it out as you go?
Good question. If it is like a creation just for myself and from my own head, I'll just like start and kind of see how it goes. If it is a project, a professional project where I'm trying to match like an artist render, a 2D rendering of something, then I'll lay out like grid style color palettes of like all of my color approximations of what I think is close, and then start doing some mixes to match what I think, because I need to, looking at the bottle does not give you an accurate representation of what color is inside, and so I need to see it. And then I have like a whole mat on my desk, and as I start that project, I'll refer to that, and then I just take my notes of what formula I ended up doing for that particular color. You have to write it down because I never remember it.
Yeah.
I believe me, I know the feeling. A lot of times when I'm doing diorama stuff, I've learned to try to keep better notes, because sometimes you'll paint something and then I might not come back to the same setup for a while, and then I can't remember what colors I used to paint that wall. And yeah, that can get a little frustrating. To try to color match everything. And even especially sometimes even on time, sometimes the longer you let some paint sit, and a different bottles, and then you'll paint it and it's like, why does it look different? And it's, and that I'm sure that can be very frustrating, especially like on a figure. Like I can get away with it on two separate walls, but it's a little bit harder if it's on one limb and then another limb.
For sure.
Yeah.
Do you ever
do apple barrel?
Yeah. Do you ever do any airbrushing, or do you do everything just hand brush?
I dabbled a little bit in airbrushing. I got really freaking frustrated with it. I don't know. At some point I will, on sometime when I'm really bored, delve into it again. But I don't know. I just know what I can do without the airbrush. And so it's like, okay, here's my analogy. I'm a decent downhill skier. Yes, I've always been interested in learning how to snowboard, but I don't want to spend a whole day on my butt trying to learn how to snowboard when I know I could just have a really nice day on the mountain, right? That's my analogy.
Perfect. Yeah.
Fair enough. Yep.
Yes,
Stick to what you know.
I do want to expand my skill set. There are definitely applications where it would save a lot of time and just get a better effect. But yeah, I'm just not there yet, and I just haven't dedicated the time to it. But yes, eventually.
Because it seems airbrushing is a very unique talent to learn. I mean, especially when you're blending into it, and then it seems if you've got a palette plate, it's easier to blend right there and then. Whereas if you're trying to blend into a airbrush, I mean, I don't know anything about airbrushing, so this is speaking completely from inexperience. It seems like if you get it wrong, you're going to have to take it out, clean the gun, clean the barrel, and then try it again until you get it right.
Right.
I'll just stick with the palette plate. Yep, that looks good.
Yeah, I'm more of like a minimalist, and I kind of discovered that about myself when growing up, I was like, I really want to learn how to scuba dive. I'd done a bunch of snorkeling in Hawaii and stuff like that. I'm like, really want to learn how to scuba dive, and I did. I for work, I actually had to go all the way through scientific diving, rescue diver, all of the things. And when it came time to do diving recreationally, it was just so much work with all this equipment. And then, if you're diving somewhere cold like Monterey Bay, it's, you get like 30-minute dives out of this like whole process of getting your equipment together and doing this and doing that. And I'm like, you know what? I just rather like free dive or snorkel. I just didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would. And I just feel like the same way about the airbrush, because it's like, I just don't want to spend time dealing with this equipment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems when you start getting into the, I guess the higher level of the art form, it just becomes more of a pain in the butt than, and it kind of takes the fun out of it.
Right.
I mean, the being able to use a brush and paint and see your work right there and then with, very minimal setup is kind of more ideal for when you want to have fun. But I can see the advantages of having all the equipment for the more professional side of it.
For sure. Yeah. And some companies don't even want to like talk to you if you don't know how to airbrush. So there's that.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That is weird. Wow. But I guess.
I mean, if they're trying to get a product out quick.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking. With a company, everything's time is money.
Yeah.
But
yeah, and just being able to apply things like really smoothly for those paint masters is important.
Yeah.
But I'm sure, like professionals like yourself, I'm guarantee your stuff looks just as smooth as most of the airbrushers.
That's what I strive for. Yeah, for sure.
Well, I mean, if you don't mind, I have your page pulled up.
Awesome.
And I would like to kind of take a look at it. Well, I had it pulled up. Hold on. Something happened. And just kind of go through your IG page and take a look at some of your work.
Great.
Let's see.
While he's doing that, how did you get involved with Savage Crucible?
So the owner, Rob Post, he had a business prior in the action figure community called Mayfec, or My Action Figure Customs. And so I was communicating with him, and a very good customer of his, very regularly, buying lots and lots and lots and lots of 3D parts for Mythic Legions Customs. And so we were always like, he was always bouncing ideas off me and brainstorming about things. And I would always like unsolicited, email him of like what I wanted to see and what I would buy. And so that relationship kind of got born from that. And then it started after he revealed his line of like looping me in and asking advice. And then it just grew from there.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Are you, I know you can't obviously speak of anything, down the road with them.
No spoilers.
There's secrets, and then two, none of us can predict the future.
Right.
But what do you see for yourself as far as like professional work down the road? What would you want to see for yourself?
Yeah, good question. I do have a full-time job in my normal career, so it's not like I have a ton of time to, my goal is not to work for as many companies as possible or do as many projects as possible. It's more real like passion projects. So I've really enjoyed painting the Lemurians, obviously, for Savage Crucible, because that's like right up my alley. There's other things that are similar to that are in the works. And I would say just being able to cherry pick projects that are like that are my style and in my strength, but also I don't mind picking some things that are challenging either. Like some of the Fresh Monkey Fiction things I did this last year were extremely challenging and like pretty out of my wheelhouse, but I was happy with how they turned out. So like a combination of both. Like, yes, I want to challenge myself. I don't want to stay in my comfort zone. But at the same time, being able to pick something where I'm like so jazzed about it and know exactly what to do. It's great.
Very cool. So, speaking of that, let's take a look
Yeah.
at some of your work. This one is definitely by far been one of the biggest figures of the year that came out, and your paint scheme has made it such a huge
Absolutely
figure.
beautiful.
Yeah,
I'm very happy that this got received so well. It was. I know I wanted to do an albino. Rob wanted to do an albino, but we're like, well, we don't want like we could put it out as like a slate or like a slate and just have it white. But most of the albino animals, like the true albino animals out there, they're not just white. They do have some sort of color pattern. And I had worked with this particular albino reticulated python in my career, and those are the colors and like pattern inspiration that I chose for that character.
It's so good.
yeah,
It's so
you
good.
did a fantastic job with this. I mean, by far one of probably my favorite Lemurians so far.
Hmm.
You know, if there are some, you know, in the future, whatever, but this one is definitely, you know, at number one with Veterus a close second.
Nice. Yeah. It just worked out, and it just worked out to be the conclusive for this year. The timing worked out nicely, and it was before all the upheaval with global shipping and all that. So it was nice timing to get that out.
Now the iridescence, was that your idea as well?
Yeah, I actually painted it iridescent with the idea of I want the base plastic to have that like iridescent sparkle quality. So we had been at the shows that we did the last couple years. Rob had brought samples of the plastics that we were considering doing for the slates. And so I knew what was possible, and that's what I built in with the paint.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, because
Cool.
it's for people who have never had this in hand, the pictures do not do this justice at all. When you see it in person with that iridescent paint and the way the colors work on this, it's just amazing.
Yeah, I'm still trying to find the perfect lighting to really bring out the colors, the iridescent sparkle in the paint job and the colors. And it's a challenge. It's a challenge to make it look as good as it does on a photo as it does in person.
Yeah, it's tricky to pick that up, and then it's also tricky because I've seen some photos where the lavender part of the pattern looks really, really dark. So it's just hard to convey the colors like as they actually look to the human eye.
Yeah.
It either goes too light or dark, or but it still looks great in the photos, I think.
So this is one of the pumpkin, fresh monkey figs and pumpkin characters.
Yes, there's two. I believe it is a 2-pack. There's Peter and Patch, and they wrote a little story about it. It kind of goes in their holiday line, Naughty or Nice, where they've done a lot of the Santa figures. So these are the first Halloween figures. And yeah, it was cool because the story hadn't been written yet. So I kind of made up my own story as I was painting them.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because one is more sinister looking, and the other one is more like passive, like accidentally cursed looking. But yeah, I dig these guys. I'm super excited to get them.
Yeah, the shading you did in the pumpkin is absolutely amazing,
Yeah.
especially being able to make the eyes so dark yet still have that green kind of vine pupil pop out like that. Phenomenal work.
And Arlen Pelletier sculpted these, so and the reindeer also. He does a great job with like the texture, so it just makes painting things that much easier when the sculpt is really great.
Let's see. I believe. Let's see. Let's find more of your work.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while since I posted like a custom just for me.
So
Yeah.
this is the two. This is what the 2-pack looks like. The
Yeah.
packaging part. Okay. Let's see. Is this your Predator collection? Oh no, that's
No, I
that's just Predators.
People were freaking out about the new design, so I'm like,
Oh.
I posted just a collage of all of the designs over there, and like they're all very different from each other, and that post went viral. So it has like 100,000 views right now. And you know, all these like people from that don't follow me at all are commenting. So I'm just like letting it go. But it's, like it's the most views, the most likes on my page by far.
That's
just
crazy.
Like look at how different all those different designs are. And of course, like a bunch of people are freaking out about the new design. I'm like, guys.
Almost like if you put up, 8 different human faces.
Exactly.
Oh my God, they don't look alike?
Yeah.
It's crazy. I think my only problem is it looks too CGI, but I think that it might be like Sonic. When Sonic's trailer first dropped, it was horrible. Yeah. But when the movie dropped, it was spectacular.
Yeah. They still got a lot of time to like.
Yeah, to fine tune it.
Refine it. Yeah.
I think that's all that. Okay, so is this one of your pictures?
Yes. So, well, it's not one of my pictures. It is a painted head that I did, and someone bought that for me and then did their photo. I'm by no means a photographer, so he did a great job here.
But you did all the painting
just for the head.
Face? Okay.
Yeah, just for the head. And the head, that's a Planetary Dog Toys head, so it's the coiffed king with a crown. That's all one piece.
Your shading is phenomenal. I can't shade to save my life. I mean, I have to like put a base paint and then make the light make the shading, because if I tried to paint shading, he'd look like he had runny mascara. It's horrible. Let's see.
Yeah, these are all just test shots, factory test shots for Wave 2 that's coming soon.
Coming soon.
Yeah.
Speaking of on Wave 2, which did you do paints on all of Wave 2 or some of Wave 2?
I did not do any of Wave 2.
Oh, wow.
Yep. So that is all Alex Wu.
Okay.
And then Tim and I worked on Wave 1 and Wave 3.
Okay.
So more the creature type stuff.
Well, let me go back. I didn't realize you had done Wave 3. Here we go. So this is one of yours then?
Yes, that's the Abyss Dreadnought, one of the fish that the pranoids that's coming in Wave 3, which I'm most excited about that wave, and I can't come soon enough because it's just very unique. There's nothing like it out there.
There's nothing like
Can't wait. Actually, have a blank shelf on my
you already prepped for it?
Right there on the right there. That will be Wave 3 when it comes, and then I have up top. There's some space for some barbarians.
Yeah, the uniqueness of these. I mean, both the sculpt and the paint and the idea is just so, because it would have been really easy to make these look cartoony and silly.
Yeah.
And they don't. They look terrifying, and they fit in with everything else. The armor fits, the colors fit, the overall design of everything. Is you guys just knocked it out of the park with this. This is awesome.
And this one was a good example of one that was from some real life reference from an angler fish, or just some of the multiple colors from deep sea fish. They real life inspiration there for that.
Yeah, I like how everything is like the dull camouflage, and then you have the iridescent mouth to kind of draw everything in, and the little lantern up on top of the helmet, and the gill slits. It's phenomenal. Now, did you do the transparent one as well?
So the interesting thing is, when we first, during the Kickstarter, there was one piranoid that was done in a translucent plastic, and that was the Fathom Scout. Transparent plastic with paint apps on top. As the production process and design process proceeded, we decided to do all of the Piranoids in a base of clear plastic with paint apps on top. So for like the Abyss Dreadnought, that's a later sample. And so the clear, it's not a translucent figure, but the translucent is allowed to peek through on things like some of the teeth, some of the lip area, some of the edges of the fins on the hands. So it's not like a translucent plunderline. It's a figure with paint apps where you utilize the translucency to your benefit in just very specific areas that makes it more fish-like.
Like the webbing here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or like on the lips
It
that just
the lips.
Yeah.
puts the lips that just.
Yeah. And then also it was given more of a wet look as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is still not a final factory sample, but it's like, in process of getting more final.
You know what they need is a
it's
really
really
cool
good.
underwater diorama, Don.
I think I know somebody that's making one of them.
Oh.
No, I think you're wrong.
You think I'm wrong? Okay, I believe
It is necessary because
somebody definitely has the skill for it, though.
Yeah, these
But-
are Peter and Patch. That plaid shirt was like one of the most time-consuming things I've done.
Yeah, I can imagine to get it nailed down the way a plaid's supposed to look.
Okay, so I got to ask on that. Did you tape it off? Did you? Yeah.
Yes, and I used like thin model tape.
Yeah.
Still not easy. Still a huge pain in the ass. So
Well, working with tape that small, wow.
Yeah, just very, 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 very time-consuming.
Especially
And also,
like trying to do the arms and the collar.
yeah,
and
like
underneath,
how does the
yeah.
pattern carry through under the shirt and all that.
Yeah.
And then the other thing about these figures is that orange is very hard to work with because most paint formulas of orange, they do not, or even some yellows, don't have great coverage. So you need many, 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 many layers to build it up to where it looks like something. And so these figures were by far the most time-consuming things I've ever done.
That's crazy. Now I did see the reindeer.
Yeah.
You did these as well, correct?
Yes. So there were four base reindeer plus the goat demon plus Rotten Hoof. And then there was a head pack that needed to match those different base bodies. And so this was a lot of fun. I'd done a bunch of horses before, custom horses, and I think that's why they thought I'd be good for this particular project. And it was a lot of fun. And the goat demon, honestly, the goat demon was interesting because the way Arlen had done the rendering, it showed that he has a fire effect on his hooves that you can put on there. It's like a translucent fire effect. And so we had to paint the figure where it looked like that on the belly and the chest, it was reflected light from those flames.
All through here.
Yeah. So that was fun to figure out how to do. And it worked out.
Let's see. Trying to find the reindeer. I think
there's Rotten Hoof. Yeah. So they have their Santa figures, and then they have like the Grinch and like weird stuff to go along with it. So that's the idea.
I remember the drunken Santa and then the barbarian Santa.
Yep.
Yeah, those are epic. So
that's my last custom was this koi bog goblin guy. Yeah. So I had that idea in my head for probably 4 years, and I finally got around to it. I did that in the same white pearlescent paint as my paint master for the albino Lemurian.
Okay.
Nice.
And I mean, I would love to have multiple of these in different koi colors. But space is a limiting factor. So,
Yeah.
yeah. But I really
our
like,
biggest enemy.
yeah, I really like those bog goblins. They're fish-like, they're amphibian-like, they're just a really cool design. So
Yeah, because it looks like they've got the gills here.
they do, yes.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome work right there. Because I mean, if you go to any koi pond, here you go, and to see this thing pop out instead of a fish, I think I might pee myself a little. I ain't gonna lie.
But yeah, this is a good example too of like, if I'm just making a custom for my own collection, I usually don't like, the focus on this particular character is the skin of the animal, right? So
Right.
I'm not going all out on the armor. It's so I don't want to detract from the creature itself, I guess.
Well, I like the subtle teals in the armor because it does kind of bring out the more like the hands and the feet and the head. You know, it's just enough color to, you know, offset just a breast set of armor, but it definitely doesn't take away from the pieces that you know, the skin parts that you painted with the koi colors. Let's see.
There's
I'm trying to. Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry. That's the blue is a Savage Crucible custom.
Oh yeah, this was awesome.
Oh man.
So as soon as I saw that like armored head, I was like, well, he's a gladiator, obviously, and so I wanted all that spiky armor plus the spiked tail. So he's on my gladiator shelf.
I like the coloration on the insides.
Yeah. One of the challenges, so most of the lizards in the world, and presumably, well, we don't know what the dinosaurs look like, right? But most of the lizards of the world, they have a white belly and pattern on their back, right? That makes for a not great looking action figure if it's just you're looking at white and then the good stuff's all on the back, right? So
yeah,
it's challenging to like bring in a bipedal lizard to bring that pattern around to the front so you can see it on your shelf. And so this one, I just decided to do the pattern on the belly, but still make it look like read as a lizard.
Well, it kind of makes sense with a bipedal lizard because that's where the camouflage is going to need to be.
Yeah, but the eye to read as a lizard, it's a little tricky.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's really cool. So how hard was it to do individual scales?
I actually didn't do like individual scales. I just kind of went to town and did like a speckled pattern. Yeah.
Okay.
It looks like you did individual scales on it.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
The sculpt on these Lemurians is really, really tiny. So it would be a little bit easier on some other sculpts to do that.
Right.
But not the Lemurians.
That's really cool. I could have swore I saw the reindeer up here somewhere. But I believe I saw a story that Rudolph. Here we go. So when you got this project, you actually went and hung out with reindeer, didn't you?
I did. Yeah, I have a friend who lives about 20 minutes east of me who has a reindeer farm, and they just had a baby. So I went out and just did like a package shot with the reindeer. You know, and in this project, like, you want all the different characters. You could make them all look the same and look like most reindeer, but we want it, you want them to be different colors to make them toyetic, right?
Yeah.
So there's a balance between realism and toyetic. Yeah, so this is just showing the head pack heads.
Yep.
And the face bodies.
That's awesome. Very cool. Very cool work.
And this was up my alley too, because I usually like to see a figure in like multiple colorways. It's just something that I like to do. So this was perfect because I could do that.
Now, another cool thing you've done. These are heads that you painted as well, right?
I did not paint those. Yeah.
Oh, you did not paint these. Okay.
So these are Old Boy CTTS. He's
Okay.
is like small batch, really, really high end work. Like it's the quality of work that you'd see on like 1/6 scale painting.
Right. Hot toy stuff.
Out of Asia. And so that's. But I just sold my entire Black Series collection, so they are no longer with me.
Oh, goodbye.
Yeah.
Was that hard for you to do?
Surprisingly, no. I'm just not into Star Wars like I was. So.
Yeah. So, okay. So is this a kind of sample of the stuff like the items that you painted before?
Yeah, these were
Like the
just things
collection?
that I had put together last year. I did. This was like literally the only
Yep.
actual custom I did last year. The rest are just like kit bashes. Yeah.
Okay.
Bella.
I just picked her up. She's a really cool figure.
Mm-hmm. Come on.
See, you say you can't take good photos, but these are really good photos.
I just do iPhone stuff because again, it's that adversity to like all this equipment and like needing to keep up with technology. I just don't want to do it. Yeah, that's one of the samurai I'm working on right now. I have his helmet in the works right now.
Okay.
Helmet and mask. Yeah.
Yeah, the pauldrons are really nice. Chest armor. Yeah.
Yeah.
His
So that one
armor
is
skirt.
like Mayfek chest and pauldrons, and then just some
Mhm.
fodder from an old figure for the
Very cool.
lower part.
That looks
I like
fantastic.
it. You got the one eye missing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the blinded. Yeah, that's really cool. Right on.
There's that faker cat down a little bit on the right. Yeah, that was one I did a whole series of like 4 figures I did
Oh wow.
a while back for PowerCon. So I just wanted to show all of them together. And this was based on, I think it was like an exclusive figure that Mattel had done for a Faker Battle Cat. I'm not super into like He-Man stuff, but I do like to play around with the color palettes. Yeah. I have done some homage characters like right around PowerCon time just because it was fun, but yeah.
Yeah, this is a really cool cat. I like the color schemes you put together for this one. The kind of like the metallic underneath the fur.
Yeah,
That's
that was
really cool.
That was my first attempt at doing like a metallic feel, and then the fourth one was when I was able to find like a really, really chrome paint to make it even more so. So that was like attempt number 1, and then that was attempt number 2 to like
wow,
really make it seem like it's metal underneath.
Yeah, that is awesome. You blend it so well with the fur.
Thanks. Yeah, it was tricky because that if you want that like really crazy chrome effect, you can't. It just doesn't work for like brush on. So you definitely need to like do things in a certain order.
Right.
It's like Terminator cat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that is another thing that if I ever saw running at me, nope, I'm good. Even down to the clawed feet.
Mm-hmm.
That's really cool.
Well, Don, are there any other movies coming out this summer that we need to keep an eye out for?
Movies. I do believe so.
The portal is open, and the crucible has begun. Watch as heroes rise and fall over these 4 entertaining movies. Coming this summer.
Look at that. 4 more films coming.
It's the most
Really?
exciting preview I've seen for anything coming.
So, yeah, I see we're getting down to we've got 5 minutes left. So, let's take a look at some shots real quick. Just because. There we go. All right. We like to show appreciation to the community, especially for the Savage Crucible figures. So we tend to, we want to try to grab as many photos as we can to celebrate the community that celebrates this toy line. And there are so many great artists out there that have absolutely fallen in love. And like I said before, this Shield figure has become a favorite of so many people. So many shots have been done with this, with the Shield figure. This Captain Fire Beer Baker, wonderful guy, great artist, does a lot of wonderful outside shots.
Damn good actor too.
Yeah, yep.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Here's another one. You know, the good old slate. You can't go wrong with a slate. I mean, the original slates and the shadow slates, you know, those things sell like wildfire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I know you guys do for Savage Crucible Saturdays a different theme every weekend, and I've just been really impressed by just the creativity of the choice in themes, but just the work that people are putting out. It's just like I totally look forward to Saturdays for
Oh, thanks. We definitely appreciate it. We have a lot of fun doing it. It's still a lot of work, at least from my end, trying to come up with themes that don't not only push creativity but skills for everybody too to try to improve on. You know, kind of like what you were talking earlier, like trying to step outside your comfort zone, but still trying to have fun with it too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always something. And so yeah, we like hearing that, you know, somebody's appreciating it besides us.
Definitely. That's cool.
Here's a turtle versus Lemurians. There you go. But,
wow.
yeah,
nice posing there.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, like I said, there's some fantastic artists out there that just use these figures to their maximum ability with all their posability and articulation. They definitely push the limits in the photography as well. Hey, look at
it's my hand.
You were so lucky to be able to like get a hold of these, and the combinations that you set up, yeah, definitely inspired me with some ideas for when I get my Wave 2 in.
Yeah, and I haven't even had like all of the figures and all of the parts in hand. So there's so many more parts than my brain can even think about right now, especially with Jaeger.
Yeah.
There's just a lot there with Wave 2. And I speaking of Wave 2, I can't wait to see the photography for Wave 2 once Wave 2 is in the mix.
Definitely. I'm very excited for that. And then here, as we were speaking of Savage Crucible Saturdays, again, you know,
that guy sucks.
This is such a horrible photo. Such a horrible picture. Yeah, okay. Again, Captain Firebear. Stella even jumps in on it.
Yeah, that was really cool.
It was fun. It's fun having him and Tim in the group throwing their figures out.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean,
and the fun thing is like watching Stelly's photography skills improve as we went through this too.
For sure.
His progression has been amazing. But so those are just some of the photos that we like to put out there. Some of the artists that we like to put out there. And again, just want to point out a lot of those photos included a certain Shield figure. So you did an amazing job with that figure. Everybody loves it. It is actually, one of the most unique and wonderful figures to have in any collection. Just because you don't see a figure like that with that paint scheme and that coloration usually anywhere. Now, I lucked out with. I found a Triceratops from Creative Beast Studio.
Yes, yeah.
That matched that. I was like, did she paint this one too? No. I'm like, oh, well, somebody learned something from her with this paint scheme. So
they do a great job with the real life reference as well. Yeah, they love their stuff.
They are definitely one of the ones I keep my eye on to kind of match and pair up with the Savage Crucibles as companion pets.
I got a couple back here on this shelf.
Yep.
And that's another rabbit hole. Like I could fill my entire collection with Creative Beast stuff and just do that, but
yeah, they're again, they're the bigger ones. They're on the expensive side. It's like, this one hurts. This one hurts. But so we're at the end of the show. This is usually where we want to see if you have anything that you want to put out. Where can people find you? We've had your IG scrolling underneath the show.
Thank you.
But is there anywhere else?
I'm also on Facebook, but I would say mostly active on Instagram. At where that says. Occasionally on Facebook. I'm also active in the Savage Crucible Facebook group. If anyone has questions or I'm always, commenting on people's photos and stuff like that. So that's where I'm at.
Perfect.
Well, Nikki, we definitely appreciate you coming on and sharing everything about yourself and your work. The community definitely appreciates you and everything that you've put out for everyone. We definitely enjoy it. And, we're looking forward to more wonderful paint apps on everything, courtesy of your talents. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me on. Again, I'm very appreciative of all the work you guys are doing with and not only just the work that you're putting out there, but just the community involvement has been really, really great to see.
It's been a really good community to be a part of. I mean, again, I can't say enough about Savage Crucible as a company themselves. Everybody I've met from them has been absolutely top tier wonderful. So it's really, really a great opportunity to work and talk and know everybody's individuals in the group. So other than that, anything you got to put out, Jason?
I got nothing.
All right. Everybody that jumps in the chat later on once this is out, thanks for joining us. Thank you, Nikki, for coming on, and we will see you next month.
Stay savage, everyone.
Thanks,
Stay
everyone.
savage.